Hey everybody, welcome to Pop Culture Philosophers. I'm Rockin' Robbie Billups, and it's time for the weekly comic book review. That's right everybody, thanks for checking out the video. I am Rockin' Robbie Billups. This is the weekly comic book review. It's the show I read a lot of comic books, and I'll let you know what I thought about them. But first, I want to highlight Dynamic Forces real quick. Hop on over to Dynamic Forces. They got great collectibles and comics available for sale, signed books, remarked books, sketches, all that kind of stuff, right? But I do want to point out that right now, they got some really nice exclusive limited edition covers to Stray Dogs Dog Days issue number 1, including this fantastic Evil Dead 2 movie poster homage cover that I absolutely love. You can get signed copies, you can get non-signed copies. Check them all out at dynamicforces.com at the link in the description below or right up here in the video. And of course, remember to use the code Robbie at your cart. You'll save 10%. And we always start with the pick of the week, and this week's pick of the week, Rain, issue number 1 from Image Comics. Now, this is based on a Joe Hill story. It's got a script by David M. Booher from Canto fame. Then we got artwork by Zoe Thorogood, coloring by Chris O'Halloran, and lettering by Sean Lee doing the lettering there. This book was really, really cool. So, a lot of the times you see these adaptations of prose stories, especially when it's connected to someone like Joe Hill or Stephen King, something like that, and it just doesn't quite pan out. Like, you just can't capture the magic from the original tale. Now, I've never read the original Rain tale by Joe Hill, but I'll tell you this was frickin' awesome. It was expertly paced, it was tragic, it was beautiful, it was elegant. I absolutely love this book. What it is about these two lovers, and they're starting their life together. They're in Colorado, and then all of a sudden, these like crystal shards start raining from the sky. Kills like thousands of people. That whole setup is pretty much the first issue, but the way that the narrative is framed, the emotional narrative that's going along with it, absolutely works. The artwork was frickin' fantastic. It really helped accentuate the tone and the mood provided by that script. A great adaptation, but just all in all, a great, fantastic comic book. Chris O'Halloran, who you will know as the colorist on books like Ice Cream Man, definitely nailed it here in Rain. Loved the lettering, loved it all together. Rain number 1. That's the pick of the week. Since we're on Image, oh, and also, there's a backup story called Unnamed by Chris Ryhall and Ashley Wood. And it was really cool to see Ashley Wood doing some art again. And it was really interesting, but it doesn't really give you much to go on. I don't know if that's a preview of an upcoming book or if it's just a backup story. I think it's just a backup story. Anyway, from Image, we have Scorched number 1. This is the new 4th and final for now Spawn book in the ongoing Spawn franchise by Todd McFarlane. The Scorched is basically the team book, right? And so this one's going to focus mostly on She-Spawn and her team, consisting of Medieval Spawn and Gunslinger Spawn. And who else is involved in that? It's pretty much those 3. I'm sure they're going to add some more some people to those membership roles, but they're kind of doing their own thing away from Al. And the book itself was all right. They kind of have this mission where they're trying to find Plague Spawn, and they do start kind of revealing a little bit about what exactly is Plague Spawn here, and I like that idea. I think it's pretty nifty. You got Sean Lewis doing the writing here along with Todd McFarlane, Steven Segovia, Paulo Sequeira doing the artwork. The artwork was all right. It was serviceable. The book was all right. It didn't quite hit me like Gunslinger or King Spawn. I think those are 2 really solid books right now. The Scorched started off pretty decently, but it has potential to grow. Let's see, right? Then we got the Department of Truth, issue number, is this 14? Issue 15. Issue 15 of the Department of Truth. I was really looking forward to this issue because it's one of those kind of offshoot issues. It's going to be its own self-contained story, and it's supposed to be dealing with the Mothman. And the Mothman story really intrigues me. So I was really excited for this. Then I started flipping through it, realizing that this was mostly a series of images with just a bunch of like dialogue provided by these files, right? I'll show you what I'm talking about. You're familiar with this type of stuff, but you mostly just kind of get this type of stuff throughout the entire issue. And at first I was like, okay, I love these kind of techniques when they're done like sparingly, but when you have a whole issue dedicated to it, I was kind of nervous about it, right? I loved this issue. I thought it was great. Actually, I love the way that they tell the story. James Tynion's writing, like I said, this just dialogue and this file case report or something. And then the images that are associated with it are super creepy. And just like Tynion's been doing in the Department of Truth, he's pulling from all these different fields of like cryptozoology and conspiracy theory, UFOlogy, and all that kind of stuff, right? And so in this one, not only is he dealing with the Mothman, but he makes the connection to the Smiling Man, which, holy cow, I hadn't thought of those stories in frickin' years. I love the masterful way that James Tynion's able to take all these despairing elements of like of the paranormal and the mysterious and all this kind of stuff and tie it into one story that absolutely works. I love the artwork here. It was near pick of the week, right? But it is just a bunch of dialogue with some images, right? But I guess that's what comics is. I'm just trying to say I love this issue. I thought it was great. I loved the way that Tynion ties it all together. And he's just blowing me away with some of the stuff that he's bringing up in these issues. Department of Truth also has a really ominous ending that I think forecasts some stuff about what's going on. Then we got King of Spies, issue number 2. This is a new one from Mark Millar, Matteo Scalera on the artwork. Artwork is great. Story's great. Second issue was really cool. In fact, I thought I wouldn't say continue the momentum of the first issue because it like excels that momentum of that first issue. The King of Spies is basically about what happens, like, let's say James Bond, super, secret agent, finds out he's got 6 months left to live. So he decides, you know what? I've never really been able to take care of all the bad, terrible stuff in the world. So that's what I'm going to do with my last 6 months. So he's going out, he's killing presidents, he's killing people in the royal family, he's killing celebrities, he's killing all kinds of people. He's going crazy, and all the people are going crazy trying to figure out where to find him, how to catch up with him. This was really excellently done. Brought in some new elements. The way that was handled was very well. I like this book. 2 issues in, King of Spies is pretty solid. What's the furthest place from here? Issue number 3. It's all right. When I first started reading this issue, I was really lost. I was like, wait, what's going on? Where are we at? And then I was like, okay, that's where we are. So there's some interesting ideas here. This is basically a story about a world populated by mostly young people. Something happens when they hit a certain age. They all kind of live in their own gangs, like in this, I don't know, post-apocalyptic world or something, and they don't really know much about the past, and they've all kind of, each gang is fixated on a different relic of pop culture, like records for one, and VHS tapes for another, things like that. So it's got some interesting concepts, but it's just not giving me enough meat yet. It's got an interesting mystery, but it hasn't quite identified what this book is trying to be, right? So 3 issues in, and there's been a lot of pages, because each issue is super big and thick. It just hasn't quite solidified that identity for me. That being said, love the artwork. I think the artwork is super solid. The lettering, the flow of everything like that. It just needs to it needs to have a pop moment to really hook me in. And I don't feel like it's had one for me yet. Then we got Stillwater, issue number 12. This is the final issue of the second arc of Stillwater. And just like the final issue of the last arc, it game changes everything. I really like this book. So Stillwater's this town where if you're in it, within its borders, you can't die. Like if you get like your throat slit, it'll just heal back together. You'll still feel the pain and all that kind of stuff, but you also don't age, right? So this town's been taken over by these kids. They're actually like in their 20s or 30s, right? But they're still in the bodies of kids. They have taken over this town. Now you have some of the adults trying to figure out how to take it back from them. It all goes sour here. And then a big revelation at the end of this issue to propel the series forward into the next arc. Loved it. Stillwater number 12. Super solid. Then from Comics Tribe, I want to point out Happy Hill, issue number 1. This one may not be as widely available, but if you can get your hands on it, definitely worth checking out. This is from Joe Mulvey and Rich Douek. This is the exact same writer-artist team of The Wailing Blade, right? Now, I think this is more Joe's baby, and Rich came in as a scripter, but the script is great. The story is really interesting. So there's this vacation destination called Happy Hill, and it's this crazy cabin out in the woods, and there's like slides. I don't know. They haven't really quite gotten into what all of this encompasses, but people go there, and the guarantee is that they will leave happy. Meanwhile, there's a missing kid scenario going on related to this and related to this figure called the Woodsman that like haunts the woods outside of Happy Hill and may be somehow connected to Happy Hill, I really liked it. So if you like Rich Douek's work on books like Sea of Sorrows and Road of Bones, if you like their work on Wailing Blade, especially that Joe Mulvey artwork, you're going to love this one. Chris Sotomayor on the coloring, Hassan Otsman Howe on the lettering. I love this. And of course, you give me a little bit of a foil gleam there on the logo. Yeah, but I liked it. Little girl lost in a crazy, twisted vacation destination and some kind of woods monster. There you go. Hotell, Volume 2, Issue number 2 is here from John Lees, Dalibor Talajic, Lee Lowridge. I really like this book. In the first series of Hotell, so it's based on this hotel, like off the side of Route 66, and each issue was like it's an anthology, like a horror anthology. Each issue was about a story about one of the rooms in the hotel, and it kind of interconnected a little bit. This one is much more so interconnected, and you start building those threads in this second issue. I think John Lees does a great job of introducing us to a new character, new concepts, and blending it all in and making it feel like this is going to be even more interconnected than the first volume. So the issue in and of itself has a nice little self-contained story, maybe not as strong as the first one, but the way it's building on to what's ultimately going on with the entire story, I absolutely love. Hotell, Volume 2, Number 2, out this week. Very excited for that. From Marvel, we have Daredevil, the Woman Without Fear. So this is going to be a mini-series. There's no Daredevil book right now. That's been overtaken by Devil's Reign. So Chip Zdarsky and De La Torre and Blee, they've gotten together to do this mini-series, Daredevil, Woman of Tomorrow. This is focusing on Elektra's time as Daredevil. It is kind of set during the events of Devil's Reign, but it's not necessarily a tie-in. What it's mostly doing is kind of filling in and retelling some stuff about Elektra's past and bringing that into the present so that it has an impact on her emotional journey. A little bit more clues as to what she's doing, what's gone on in her past, and this figure that's standing in between them. I actually liked the issue. I thought it was solid. It's not going to blow you away, but if you want to still scratch that Daredevil itch and you like Elektra, definitely something worth checking out. I'm a huge Elektra fan, so I liked it. Like I said, not going to change your life, but it's pretty decent. Then we got Devil's Reign, Superior 4, issue number 1. I was really excited for this one. I didn't really dig on it so much, so I think it was the last issue of Devil's Reign, issue 2. Maybe it was 1, but basically, Octavius has been gifted the Baxter building. So he has access to the Forever Gate, and he goes and looks into the multiverse, and he finds 3 other versions of himself to form a team called the Superior 4. That's interesting. The problem for me is that the only gimmick that they could get is that one is Dr. Octopus but Wolverine, and one is Dr. Octopus but Hulk, and one is Dr. Octopus but Ghost Rider. And I get it because it's referencing the new Fantastic Four, right? Because he used to be the Superior Spider-Man, so you got that whole Art Adams, Walt Simonson, new Fantastic Four team. I get it, but it's just not working for me. And then the way it ends, it's intriguing enough like that, but it just feels very simple, and it does not really necessarily, I think, super tie into Devil's Reign, so it's skippable if you're just trying to get that main story. It's interesting enough, but it just didn't quite deliver for me. Then we have Wastelanders, Black Widow, issue number 1. I believe this is the final issue of those Wastelanders one-shots, kind of set in that Old Man Logan world. This one focusing in on Black Widow, and I don't know if it's a spoiler, but it's not the Black Widow that maybe you're thinking, and that's kind of cool and neat, but the book is really breezy, goes by really quick. It's definitely not the weakest of these one-shots, but it's not the strongest. It's kind of right there, Goldilocks, right in the middle, just right? But Wastelanders Black Widow number 1, it was fine. All in all, you know, it's cool to revisit that world that's mostly just kind of marketing. These books are just marketing for this like audio drama podcast, so if you want more of that world, then that's where you go. Then we get The Death of Doctor Strange, Bloodstone. It's a one-shot. It's by Howard. Is it Teeny Howard? Yeah, Teeny Howard and Ig Guara. I didn't really like this that much. I don't know. I haven't really dug a lot of Bloodstone appearances in the last, like, 5 to 10 years, but it's just something that feels off, you know. I love Marvel horror, but I feel like Marvel horror should, like, feel distinctly different than the main Marvel line. Like, I feel like a Blade book, and a Tomb of Dracula book, and a Bloodstone book, or a Morbius book, or a Man-Thing book, or even a Ghost Rider book. I don't think it should feel connected to the Marvel Universe, but they should have a different kind of edge to it, right? Being horror. I don't know. That's just how I feel it. So that's some kind of, I don't know. It's like too shiny. I don't know. The main reason why people are going to be wanting this, though, is it does introduce a new character in the Bloodstone family. So first appearance alert, but ultimately didn't really do too much for me. Then we have Fantastic Four issue 39. This is bringing a conclusion to the whole Fantastic Four in court for custody of Bentley 23, you know, the cloned kid of the Wizard. He's been lounging around with the Fantastic Four lately, part of the Future Foundation. I mean, I love that character, right? So basically the Wizard's showing up and he's like taking the FF to court and trying to prove that they're incapable, you know, and dangerous parents, even for their own children, much less to have all these other kids. And, you know, this argument's been made, so nothing new's being done there, but it was still a pretty fun issue. The way it was resolved was interesting enough, and it sets up some stuff. So I really do feel like since Dan Slott is just writing Fantastic Four now, I feel like it's kind of pulled his vision into a cohesive narrative. And I'm having a lot of fun. It feels classic. It feels old school. It feels like the Fantastic Four, and I'm digging it. And it's also evolving things a little bit forward. So Fantastic Four 39, I dug it. Then we had King Conan, issue number 2. Probably not going to follow. I don't know. I don't know if I'm going to follow this series. Like, it's an interesting idea. It's basically King Conan, but it's Conan after he's been king. And he goes off, and he winds up with, is it Thuthamon? Is that his Thuthamon, right? So he winds up with like one of his big wizard villains, and he's trapped on this island, and all these monsters are there, but most of the story is him recollecting. So what I liked a lot about this issue is there's a moment where it's Conan trying to figure out how to be a good parent, right? And trying to teach his kid, his son, the lessons that he himself had to teach himself in life. And the way he goes about it's kind of interesting, and the way that that's kind of juxtaposed against what's going on in the more present-day story with him. That's interesting. The artwork's fine. It's just interesting, though. It's just kind of run-of-the-mill. Marvel had some run-of-the-mill books, though. Nothing's really standing out, though, over there right now. Hawkeye, Kate Bishop, issue number 3. It's lost me. I mean, I really like the character of Kate Bishop. I really liked her in that Hawkeye show. I love the Kelly Thompson run. I love the Matt Fraction stuff. This one, it just feels like it's almost a parody of what they think Kate Bishop should be. So it's not giving us anything, I feel, with like some real weight to it, or some of the innovation that we're used to from, like, say, David Aja or Leonardo Romero. So I don't know, there's some gleam that's missing that I liked in the other Kate Bishop runs, but I mean, it's still okay. It's not terrible. It's just okay. Then we got Dark Ages, issue number 4. This is another one that was just okay. This is the Tom Taylor Ivan Coelho book, where it's an alternate reality, and basically this magical EMP has happened, and all of the power is dead, so there's no power on this world, and Apocalypse is controlling, like, Europe or something, and the heroes are, like, trying to, like, save people, and I don't know, it's got some interesting stuff going on in it, like Storm and Black Panther, and how they're managing to ferry people across the ocean or the sea or whatever. That's interesting and that's cool, but ultimately it feels like it's trying to have some of the wow moments and some of the tragic moments from, like, Tom Taylor's Deceased, but not quite delivering. So 4 issues in, and it's just been okay. It's just been kind of decent. Darkhawk, issue number 5. This has been a pretty solid run by Kyle Higgins, introducing a new Darkhawk, and ultimately, I like the way that this ends, because this is the final issue of this 5-issue miniseries, so I like the introduction of this character. I'm enjoying this character. I think this was a great first arc. For a final issue, it seems really frickin' breezy, and maybe some of these things and revelations should have happened last issue, so the pacing overall feels a bit off for me, and this feels a bit just kind of like rushed, and the ending's not quite as earned for Darkhawk as I would want. That being said, there's an interesting setup, and I hope that they eventually return some form or fashion to this version of Darkhawk and the stuff they tease at the end here. So this has been pretty cool. Then we got Savage Avengers is here with issue number 28. I believe this might be the final issue for now, because at the end, like, everybody says, the whole "we had fun" stuff, and it brings a big conclusion to the whole Conan in the Marvel Universe thing. So it brings the conclusion to that story, and at the same time, it is doing something where it's leaving it open for somebody else maybe to do some to have some fun with Conan in the Marvel Universe, right? But I like the conclusion. I think it's kind of cool. Kang's involved now. He's got Conan back in time, and the big villain in here, what was his name? It was Kulan Goth. I always get the Thoth-Amon and the Kulan Goth guys kind of mixed up. But, so Conan goes back in time, and instead of killing him when he's a kid, he's trying to raise him to be a man. I don't know. It's interesting, though. It's really cool. Savage Avengers has not been groundbreaking, but it's been fun consistently for 28 issues, and I applaud that. Let's jump over to DC real quick, because we got Batgirls here with issue number 2, and as I said on the DC Sneak Peek on Rockin' Robbie Live Sunday night, this is just wearing down on me. I think the Jorge Corona artwork is really solid, especially with the coloring. I think that's Stern doing the coloring, but the story's just not doing much for me. It doesn't have a lot of action. There's the briefest of action sequences in each issue, but like, the dynamic quality of the artwork does not match the mundane nature of the story. It's just a bunch of talking, just a bunch of planning and plotting, but it's just not really doing much for me. So Batgirls number 2 might be the end of that one for me. Joker number 11, though, turned a corner for me. I believe we are now in the final act of James Tynion's Joker run. We know that he's wrapping it up in April, and it feels like, yep, we're on the last arc. And after a few issues of some flashback type stuff, we're right back to where we were. And now the story has progressed a little bit forward, so I liked it. I was a little unfairly, I mean, I wouldn't say I was unfairly criticizing, but let's just say the second arc kind of got a bit clunky with its pacing, and it just didn't feel like it was ironed out very well. Now it feels like there's a renewed energy now that we're in the end game of this story. So there's some revelations, there's some setups, there are some connections, and I really like the way that it works overall. So the Joker number 11, I thought it was cool. Detective Comics 1048, great artwork by Ivan Reis, once again doing the entire issue except for the backup story. So we got this weekly Detective Comics story, Shadows of the Bat, about Arkham Tower. They're trying to rehabilitate the criminals in Arkham instead of just, punishing them and locking them away, and it's right in the middle of Gotham. And we know from the last issue that it doesn't end good, right? Because we did this flash forward. Now we're kind of this is like a mid-flash, I guess you can say. This is mostly Batwoman trying to figure out, like, who is this dude who's in charge of Arkham Tower? So it's mostly his story. But another issue where not a lot happens, just a lot of talking, just a lot of discussing, and nothing really dynamic happens, and the artwork is just wanting to explode. You know what I'm saying? The backup story by Matthew Rosenberg, not as good as the first chapter, but still decent enough. So far, Shadows of the Bat is still interesting. That's the word of the day, interesting, but not quite solidified into justifying itself as a weekly series at $5 an issue, right? Then we got Robin and Batman issue 3. This is the final issue of the Jeff Lemire, Dustin Nguyen book. Loved it. Loved the ending of this book. I was questioning issue 2 as much as I loved it. They really felt like they jarred away from the Killer Croc story and went right hardcore into some of the Batman and Grayson stuff. And into Teen Titans. And I felt like that was a little weird to then go and rush into the finale of the whole story, and the Killer Croc stuff's got to come to fruition here in issue 3, but it works. Why would I ever doubt Jeff Lemire, especially with Dustin Nguyen working on it? Love the artwork, really great stuff, and it wraps everything together, and so much focus being in on, say, Dick Grayson and the Teen Titans in the last issue, that actually does have a payoff here, and it works really well for me. This was a great book that's not just about Dick Grayson first becoming Robin, but what that means for him as a character. What is the character journey that he's going through? Not just the journey to prove that he's worthy of being Robin and saving the day and being the hero, but what does it mean to Dick Grayson to do this? And what does he go through his first, weeks as Robin? Really liked it. Emotional, action-packed, beautiful artwork, and a really resonating story. Robin and Batman, issue number 3. Let's jump over to Vault Comics. And from Vault, we have We Ride Titans, issue number 1. This was a pretty solid first issue. A lot of Vault number 1s right now don't quite give me enough of the story to make me care. This one does, and it does it in a very brisk type way. This is a very quick read, right? But there's a lot to it. So it's about this woman. She's off. She's trying to live her own life away from her family because her family is responsible for piloting this mech, right? In this one town. So this is a world with kaiju, giant monsters coming to fight and destroy a town at any moment. And each town has their own mech, their own hero, and it's operated by a family. And it's like, it's a family tradition, if you know what I'm saying, right? Well, her brother is currently the mech operator, and it starts off with him like causing a lot of destruction in this town because he's behind the wheel drunk, basically, you know, DUI, except for it's driving under the influence. You're operating a mech robot, giant killer robot under the influence. So he's got his own problems going down. So his mom shows up to his sister's place, and she's like, yo, I don't care about this family. I don't want to do it. And they need her to come and basically ride the Titan, right? And so that, everything I just explained to you is what you get in this first issue, but the character beats are there. You instinctively know the type of people that some of these people are, and that is nailed and hammered throughout the entire issue. I really like the artwork too. It's crisp, it's clean, it's concise, but it's got plenty of detail there. And like I said, it flows really well. This is a very quick read, but it is also very rewarding to me. I thought this was one of the better books of the week. Trace Dean is the writer, Sebastian Perez is the artist, D. Caniff on the coloring, Jim Campbell on the lettering. This one was pretty solid. I really liked it. Then we have Mighty Morphin, issue number 15, continuing the Eltarian War. Power Rangers has just been killing it. I love it. It's taken a long time for the story to build up to this point, but ever since those issue 12s and it erupted, it's been erupting and just exploding all over the page. And this one, you get a lot of Lord Zed versus Zordon action. Now that Zordon's like got this body he's made, and he's like little Zordon head in a bottle clicked to this robotic body that he can control. So now he's like physically fighting Lord Zed, and there's a lot of like build up to that story. I'm loving it, right? Plus you get, for the first time ever that I remember, seeing the White Tiger Zord and the Dragon Zord combined into one Zord. Well, where's the toy for that one? Actually, it didn't really look that exciting. Could have done better on that. But Mighty Morphin, number 15, dynamic, explosive, exactly what superhero comics should be. From Dynamite, we got Hellsonia, issue number 1. I was really excited to check this out. I haven't been reading the Sonyaversal stuff, and having read this, I'm like, I think I should have been reading Sonyaversal. I felt really lost. So there's this team of multiversal Red Sonias. They all have their like own color and abilities and purposes and all that kind of stuff. And they introduce those characters very efficiently here. And by the end of it, I got the gist of what was going on. But it was kind of confusing road as I was making it through. But it did make me go, I think I need to read Sonyaversal, because I recognize some of those characters from those covers, including Hellsonia. But I thought this would be more about like this devil version of Sonja, and I didn't get that, but I did like it. I liked the artwork. I thought it did a decent job, though, of introducing me to all these characters, and like I said, piquing my interest to check out Sonyaversal. Anybody out there read it? What do you think? Is it worth reading and checking out? Let me know in the comments down below. Then we got Nyx, issue number 1. Got the Ken Hazer homage TMNT, issue number 2. Diamond shorted us our Ken Hazer cover for that one, so I didn't get a hold of that one. So that freaking sucks. But anyway, Nyx, issue number 3. I'm liking it, right? This was my least favorite of the 3 issues so far, but I still enjoyed it. Christos Gage is the writer. Nyx is like the daughter of this demon of chaos, and she doesn't want anything to do with that. She just wants to live life like a normal human, but she's finding out that that's not going to be really able to happen. So she goes to Vampirella, her former enemy, to get some advice. And so they go out, and her and Vampirella go and get smashed. They get smashed, they get in a bar fight. I mean, that's pretty much what it is. So it's a book that doesn't take itself too seriously. And that's what I like about the book. It knows what it is. It's just being a little quirky. It's being a lot of fun. It's being a little sexy. And it's Nyx, and I really like it. So issue number 3, I thought was pretty solid. Then we had Vampiverse, issue number 5. I'm really liking this book. My biggest disappointment on this one, though, we do not get some kind of Egyptian goddess version of Vampirella here. But we do get an invisible, like, secret agent version of Vampirella that they call, you ready for this? Invisirella. That's freaking so awesome to me. It's so cheesy and so on the nose that it just cracks me up. There she is right there. So the invisible, think about the movie The Invisible Agent mixed with The Invisible Man meets Vampirella. So I really like this. So this is basically the movie The One, but with Vampirella. So there's this one evil version of Vampy going around to all the different multiverses, killing all the other Vampirellas so that she can attain max power. And then you got this ragtag group of multiversal Vampirellas trying to stop her. I kind of like it. And one thing I do like about Hellsonia is it's another multiversal thing with one of their flagship properties, and it's a different story. Like, the purpose of this is way different than, it's not just the same story where they're all trying to hunt down this one evil Red Sonja. And I like that. So Vampyverse, issue number 5, I thought was a pretty solid issue. And then we're going to wrap up with Maniac of New York, The Bronx is Burning, issue number 2. This book maintains just like overall what I thought about the first arc, the first book, and the first issue of this, which is I love the artwork by Andrea Muti. I love the concept of this book. I love all of the horrific stuff that's happening in this book, like when Harry is on a murder spree and they're doing all that kind of stuff. I freaking love it. It's gnarly, it's gruesome, it's gross, it's scary. Exactly. When they get to like the people that are trying to solve the case, I don't care whatsoever, man, at all. So what this needs is a story that I actually care about. Aside from that, though, I mean, I'm still just loving the visceral nature of this artwork, of this killer Harry. It's basically like, what if Jason didn't die at the end of Jason Takes Manhattan, stays in Manhattan, and now we're like 20 years later. But like I said, the team that's like the two women that are trying to stop him, I could give two shits about their story. I just want more mayhem and murder. So when they're on that part, I really like it. So the book's a little uneven, and that's kind of disappointing. But anyway, Maniac New York, The Bronx is Burning, issue number 2. So that's what I read. That's what I thought about it. What are you reading? What are you digging? Let us know in the comments down below. Thank you so much for checking out the video. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe. And join us over at popculturephilosophers.com for podcasts, blogs, and a whole lot more. I've been Rockin' Robbie Billups. Thanks for rocking with us. Keep on reading. Station. Pop, pop, boom.